It was a quiet late night, and the house was wrapped in complete silence. A mother lived there with her 3 children. Everything seemed normal on the surface, but the atmosphere felt strangely heavy. 2 of her children were sleeping peacefully in their rooms, while the third child was lying beside her. Outside, a soft, cold wind was blowing, making faint sounds as it touched the windows and doors. Suddenly, the mother woke up from her sleep. At first, she thought it was just her imagination, but then she felt something unusual. The house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like someone else was inside with them. A strange pressure filled the room, and an unexplained fear started rising in her heart. She stayed still, listening carefully. Then she heard it, faint footsteps coming from inside the house. Slow, steady, and moving from one room to another. Her breathing became faster. She slowly turned her head and noticed the bedroom door moving slightly on its own, as if someone had just touched it. Fear started taking over her completely. She immediately pulled her child closer, holding them tightly. She had the strong feeling that someone unseen was watching them from the darkness. The silence of the house became heavier, almost suffocating. Then suddenly, a strange and unnatural laugh echoed from the other room. It was not the voice of any human. The mother tried to get up and check, but her body felt frozen, as if something was stopping her from moving. In the next moment, the door slammed shut violently, shaking the entire house. And then, everything went silent again. Too silent. But deep inside, the mother knew one terrifying truth. They were not alone in that house. The night had grown deeper, and a heavy silence had settled inside the house. Everything looked calm on the surface, but there was something unsettling in the air that no one could explain. The mother and her 3 children were inside the house, completely unaware of what was about to happen. 2 of the children were sleeping peacefully in their separate room. Their soft breathing filled the quiet space, and they were lost in deep sleep, unaware of the world around them. The third child was sleeping close to the mother, holding on to her as if seeking comfort even in dreams. The room they were in was dimly lit, with only a small light casting faint shadows on the walls. Outside, a cold breeze was moving slowly, brushing against the windows and doors. The sound of the wind created a strange rhythm, almost like whispers trying to get inside. Every now and then, the wooden windows creaked slightly, adding to the silence rather than breaking it. Inside the house, everything seemed still, but the stillness felt unnatural. It was not the peaceful silence of a normal night. It felt deeper, heavier, almost like something was waiting. Even the air inside the room felt different, as if it had become colder without reason. The mother remained half awake, sensing a strange discomfort she could not understand. She looked at her children sleeping and tried to calm herself, thinking it was just her imagination. But the feeling in her heart would not go away. The house, although appearing normal, felt as if it was holding its breath. Every corner of the room seemed darker than usual. Shadows on the walls looked slightly unusual, stretching longer than they should have. Everything was quiet, too quiet. And in that silence, something unknown felt like it was slowly coming closer, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The night was still deep and silent, and everything inside the house seemed normal from the outside. The mother and her children were asleep, wrapped in what appeared to be a peaceful environment. But suddenly, something changed inside that silence. Without any clear reason, the mother slowly opened her eyes. It was not a normal awakening. It felt like something had pulled her out of sleep. For a moment, she just lay still, staring at the dark ceiling, trying to understand why she had woken up so suddenly. The room was quiet, but the silence no longer felt comforting. As she lay there, a strange feeling started building inside her chest. It was not fear at first, but discomfort, like something was not right in the house. She slowly turned her head and looked around the room. Everything seemed exactly the same, yet somehow it felt different, unfamiliar. Her breathing became slightly uneven as she tried to calm herself. She told herself it was just a dream or maybe her imagination playing tricks on her. But deep inside, a stronger feeling began to grow, an unexplainable awareness that she was not alone. The house felt different now. The air seemed heavier, and the silence felt deeper than before. It was as if the entire house had become aware of her being awake. She noticed how even the smallest sounds seemed louder now, like the faint ticking of time itself. She carefully shifted her gaze toward the door of the room. It was closed, but she felt uneasy looking at it, as if something could be standing just behind it, waiting without making a sound. A strange pressure built in the atmosphere, making it hard for her to relax again. Her heart began to beat slightly faster. She still tried to convince herself that nothing was wrong, but her instincts were now fully alert. Something inside her was saying that this awakening was not ordinary, it was a warning. And in that quiet, heavy moment, she realized something deeply unsettling had already begun inside the house. The night had turned even darker, and the silence inside the house had become heavier than before. The mother was still lying in bed, trying to calm herself after the strange feeling she had experienced. But now, something new began to happen that made everything worse. At first, it was just a faint sound, a very soft noise, almost like footsteps moving slowly across the floor of the house. The mother froze instantly. She tried to listen carefully, thinking she might be imagining it. But then the sound came again, clearer this time. Step, step, slow and steady. Her heart started beating faster as she realized the sound was not coming from outside. It was inside the house. She carefully shifted her body, trying not to make any noise. The two children in the other room were still sleeping peacefully, unaware of everything. But for the mother, sleep was no longer possible. Then suddenly, something even more disturbing happened. The bedroom door, which had been completely still, moved slightly on its own. It was a small movement, but enough to send a wave of fear through her body. She stared at it without blinking, hoping it would stop. But it didn't. The door moved again, slowly, as if someone on the other side had just touched it. The air in the room felt colder now, and the silence felt sharp and uncomfortable. The mother felt trapped between fear and confusion. She wanted to wake up her children, but something inside her told her not to move. The footsteps stopped for a moment, but the tension did not. Instead, it felt like the presence in the house had become stronger, closer. The darkness outside the room seemed deeper than before, as if it was hiding something alive inside it. The mother held her breath, trying to control her fear, but her mind kept repeating one thought again and again. Someone was in the house with them, and it was getting closer with every passing second. The fear inside the house was now growing stronger with every passing moment. The strange footsteps and the moving door had already shaken the mother, but what she felt next made everything even more terrifying. The silence was still present, but it was no longer peaceful. It felt heavy, as if the entire house was holding its breath. The mother slowly sat up in her bed, pulling her child even closer to her chest. She could feel the child's soft breathing, which was the only thing giving her a little strength. But even that comfort could not remove the deep fear that was spreading inside her heart. Her eyes kept scanning the dark room, searching for anything unusual. She felt a strange sensation, like someone was watching them, not from far away, but from somewhere inside the house. It was not a normal feeling. It was intense, sharp, and very real. Every second that passed made that feeling stronger. She tried to ignore it, but it was impossible. The air in the room started feeling colder than before. Even though everything looked the same, the atmosphere had completely changed. The shadows on the walls seemed darker, almost alive, as if they were moving slightly when she wasn't looking directly at them. The mother wanted to call out, to wake her other children, but her voice felt stuck inside her throat. Something was stopping her, like an invisible force warning her to stay silent. Her instincts told her that making any noise could make things worse. She held her child tightly, feeling her own heartbeat becoming faster and louder in her ears. The feeling of being watched did not go away. Instead, it became stronger, as if whatever was in the house had now focused completely on them. In that moment, she realized something terrifying. Whatever was inside the house was no longer distant. It was close, very close, and it was aware that she was awake. The tension inside the house had now reached its peak. The mother was sitting frozen in her bed, holding her child tightly, while the strange feeling of being watched had completely taken over her mind. Every second felt heavier than the last, and the silence was so deep that even her own breathing sounded loud to her. Then, suddenly, something happened that broke that unbearable silence. From the other side of the house, a strange sound echoed through the rooms. At first, it was very soft, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. But within seconds, it became clearer and more disturbing. It sounded like a laugh. Not a normal human laugh, but something unnatural, broken, and deeply unsettling. The mother's body went completely stiff the moment she heard it. Her grip on her child tightened instinctively. She slowly turned her head toward the direction of the sound, but the darkness made it impossible to see anything clearly. The laugh continued for a few seconds and then suddenly stopped, leaving behind an even heavier silence. Her heart was now beating so fast that she could hear it in her ears. She wanted to stand up, to check on her other children, but her body refused to move. It felt like something was holding her down, stopping her from reacting. The air in the room felt even colder now. The shadows seemed deeper, almost alive, shifting slightly in the corners of her vision. She blinked repeatedly, trying to make sense of what she had just heard, but her mind was struggling to process it. The strange laugh did not come again, but its presence remained in the house, as if it had left an invisible mark behind. The silence that followed was even more frightening than the sound itself. In that moment, the mother understood something terrifying. Whatever was inside the house was no longer hiding. It had revealed itself, even if only for a moment. After the strange and unnatural laugh faded, the house fell into an even deeper silence. It was no longer the same silence that had been there before. This silence felt heavy, almost suffocating, as if the entire house had stopped breathing. The mother remained frozen in her bed, holding her child tightly, afraid to even move. She kept staring into the darkness, waiting for something else to happen. Every second felt endless. Her mind was full of fear, but her body was still unable to react. She could feel that something was still present inside the house, even though nothing could be seen or heard clearly anymore. Then, without warning, a loud sound broke the silence. The bedroom door suddenly slammed shut with great force. The impact was so strong that it shook the entire room. The sound echoed through the house like a warning. The mother flinched in fear, pulling her child even closer, her eyes wide open in shock. For a moment, everything became completely still again. No footsteps, no voices, no movement, just silence. But this silence was different. It felt final, as if something had just ended, or had just begun. The mother slowly looked toward the door, her breathing shaky. She knew she should not move, but her fear pushed her to understand what was happening. Yet, there was nothing to see. Only darkness and stillness remained. Outside the room, the rest of the house was completely quiet. Too quiet. Even the faint sounds of the night had disappeared. It felt as if the entire world outside had gone silent just for this moment. But deep inside her heart, the mother understood the truth that terrified her the most. Whatever had entered the house was still there, and closing the door had not trapped it outside. It had trapped them inside with it.